Gar, thanks so much for your time. I mean, you were telling me briefly about the huge interest you're finding from South Africans here looking to pursue opportunities in America. Can you tell me more?
Yeah, let me give you a little background on the EB-5 investor visa program, because I don't think it's particularly well known. It's been historically used by Chinese to come to the U.S., so it's very well known in China, but not so much in South Africa. The program's been around since 1990, and in the United States, the government sets aside 1 million visas a year for people to come to the U.S. The biggest category is the H-1B work visa, professional athletes, concert musicians, but the category that's been around since 1990, 10,000 visas a year for investors. And most of the developed countries around the world have some form of an investor visa. In Canada, you buy a discounted bond. In Portugal, you buy real estate. In the U.S., the focus is on creating jobs. The program was created during one of the recessions in the U.S. And so investors make a $500,000 investment. It's fairly passive. They don't necessarily have to start a business and hire workers, because there are other visas that provide temporary residency. But the EB-5 is gaining in popularity now because it's permanent residency. It's fairly easy. The amount has been the same, $500,000 for 28 years.
Sure.
So vis-a-vis a lot of the other countries, like Australia is $1.5 million, for instance.
Sure.
And in the U.S., it's $500,000. You make an investment, it creates 10 jobs, and over a sort of 5 or 6 year period, you'll get a green card. And if you do it right, you'll get your money back with a small return.
Right. So how many South Africans are you talking to right now about this program, and what kind of people are they?
Well, we were here 2 months ago and met with 400 people. And Dan Ryan is our person covering Africa. So Dan was here for 2 months, talked to about 400 people. High net worth, not just farmers, with the land rights issue, but really people from all over that have money. They tend to be doing it for their children. A lot of people are doing it with children that are sort of in that 10 to 12-year-old range, where they want them to be educated in the U.S. And stay in the U.S. In our business, we see a lot of college students. And in the United States, it's become much harder to get an H-1B work visa. I mean, it used to be that you would come to Georgia Tech.
Is that since Donald Trump, can I ask?
Pardon me?
Is that since Donald Trump? Because we have seen him clamp down on immigration.
It's really been because the high-tech companies in Silicon Valley have just soaked up all the H-1B work visas. So if you're an engineer, an engineering major at Georgia Tech, in the old days, you would have gone to work for GE Power Systems, and they would have sponsored you for an H-1B. And there used to be enough H-1Bs to go around, but now, because of the heavy demand, mostly in the tech area, the odds of getting selected in the lottery are about 30%. So right. It's 3 times oversubscribed is the best way to look at it. And so a lot of, several South Africans that we're talking to are doing it for the children that are in school in the U.S. because today, if you come out of Georgia Tech with an engineering degree and you sign up to interview with GE, they won't interview you. They'll simply say, we don't want to take the chance of saving a spot for you and training, because in the U.S. once you graduate, you get 12 months of what they call OPT.
Right. What does that stand for?
I don't know, because I'm not an immigration lawyer, but I think it's like optional practical training, something like that. But it's 12 months to kind of get on-the-job training. But then if your chances are 30% of getting a work visa after that, the big companies just don't want to take that chance. So we get investors in the EB-5 program because they want their children to be able to go into that interview and say, hey, I've already taken care of my immigration status.
I mean, other than the issue of the children, I mean, some might argue that particularly our universities, South African universities, are quite well regarded. So, I went to a South African university, and I think I have turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
So other than the issue of better education for their children, and you did mention the farmers are looking at uncertain about the issue of land.
Right.
What else is driving these high net individuals out of the country and into a country in which, I mean, the uncertainty in America is also quite widely covered?
Well, I would say, you know, I had this conversation last night. You know, people were concerned about the political situation in the U.S. and particularly our president. And I would tell you, don't focus on the tree, focus on the fruit. Right. In the U.S., the economy is absolutely booming. I mean, I graduated from college and went to work during the Reagan administration. We had a great economy. But we came out, you know, we were coming out of a recession. In the U.S. right now, we have this weird elixir. So think of the statistics I'm going to give you and compare them to the similar statistics in South Africa. GDP growth rate and unemployment. First time in my lifetime, and unfortunately I'm much older than you, Fifi, but it's the first time in my lifetime that, think about this, GDP is growing faster than the unemployment rate. So 4.2% GDP, 3.9% unemployment. And as a father of 6 children in various stages of graduating from college, it's just a magic time in the U.S. for job creation. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. So I think a lot of people are coming for economic reasons also. Sure. I mean, it really is a fabulous time to be working in the largest economy in the world.
Sure. So you say exactly what do you need? It's just a minimum of $500,000 US.
It's $500,000. The majority of the money is pooled and goes into commercial real estate development because that construction activity creates jobs. In addition to the operating activities of a hotel, high-rise multifamily buildings, assisted living. Right now we have not an exclusive focus, but a focus on student housing. In the U.S. right now you have about 20 million college students, and if you forecast out to 2025, that number is supposed to increase by approximately 20%. And no public universities in the U.S. And very few private are spending money on student housing. It doesn't provide a good rate of return.
Right.
And so there's the supply and demand aspects for that market forecast out very well over the next 5 or 6 years, which is really our investment timeline.
Right. And of the 400 people that you have met, you say they were mainly farmers.
No. It's a broad mix of people from in 6 different cities and really all walks of life. So there's general interest. And our job, like today, is just to create awareness in the program, because I think a lot of people don't know that you can get a permanent green card in the United States by making a $500,000 investment that you're going to get back in 5 or 6 years with a rate of return.